Hey folks, and welcome to something a little bit different. Those of you who've been watching my DayZ videos, especially the most recent episode 5 of the Three Amigos, will know that I've spoken a few times about how much I love flying choppers. So I'm somebody that used to play a lot of ArmA 2, and now obviously I spend a lot of my time playing DayZ. I've yet to actually find a chopper I can fly in DayZ, but there's something I wanted to let you guys know about. It's just like a personal thing that I really enjoyed using, and that is something called TrackIR. And what you see me doing now is actually sort of looking out of the chopper and turning my head back around. Now I'm not doing this using my mouse. I'm using something called TrackIR 5, which is essentially like an infrared kind of sensor, or an infrared camera, which monitors a clip which has 3 points on it. On my head, and as I turn my head in real life, it turns my head in game. So it means that I can use my joystick or whatever peripheral you prefer for flying independently of my head. So as you can see, I'm approaching to land here in Cherno. This isn't in a real live server, this is just in the ArmA 2 armory, which I'd suggest you guys use if you want to sort of test out flying and stuff. So as I come about, now you can see my landing strip. So basically what it does is, as I turn my head in real life, it means that it actually turns my head in game. So this is particularly useful when trying to land or fly around in a chopper. So you can see here, I'm not particularly making use of it at this point in time, but you can see the little square there I'm going to try and land on in the dock. And then we're going to try and do a couple of other exercises. So something that's very important when flying in ArmA is to note that it's totally different from many other games you will have played. And if you are landing at high speed going forwards, chances are you might either slip off of your target landing area or damage the vehicle. And it's also important not to descend too quickly. So I'm keeping an eye on my speed and altitude measures up there. So yeah, it's, just to note, this is not in-game like a DayZ game, this is just single player messing around, so hence no zombies or other survivors or anything like that. The two guys you'll see inside the chopper in a moment are just AI. And so I've managed to land smoothly there, and the hull, engine, etc. are in safe condition. So I've stepped outside and I've ran forward. And this is me actually turning my head in real life. This is not me using Alt and the mouse button, this is me turning my real head. One of the advantages of this is that I can keep my gun in its current position. So if I had a weapon now and I was aiming forward to shoot at another survivor or a zombie, I could keep my gun locked on them and still continue to fire it without really compromising my mouse movement. So if I started to turn my head, I could actually still turn my gun at the same time. So it's very useful in some instances where you need to be able to move your gun independently of when you're looking around, but normally when you hold Alt, you basically surrender your power to move your weapon for the time that you're using it. So I've switched into third person here, and you can see again how I'm looking around. So again, none of this is through my mouse, all the head movement is done through just tracking my head through the TrackIR 5, and I think the TrackClip Pro is what they call it, which is the component that will attach to your headphones. So I've got back in the chopper now. As you can see, I'm looking around, looking on the floor, looking sort of behind me, seeing the chaps behind me, AI chaps. So yeah, starting up the rotors in the helicopter, and my plan is to land on top of the International Hotel. Just really as a practice of my helicopter skills, having not flown in a long time, and also to sort of demo me using the TrackIR and I guess a chopper as well. So yeah, this isn't necessarily DayZ per se, but I think the peripheral really adds to immersion in the game, and it's something that I've enjoyed using. I originally didn't use it, as I forgot I even had it, because I hadn't played ArmA 2 for quite some time before I started playing DayZ. So as you can see, I'm flying around the International Hotel and looking left with my head there. So I think ArmA is one of those games where flying is a lot easier and you have significantly more control where you have a joystick. So you can make much more smooth movements, and you also need sort of the throttle control that you get on some joysticks, which gives you a lot more smoothness, a lot more granular control, a lot more flexibility. You know, you can make gentle movements instead of lurching around and, you know, doing everything to the extremes, which it's very difficult not to do when you're using a mouse and keyboard setup. You know, how can you slowly, smoothly bring down the thrust when a key simply just has an on and off? There's no sort of pressure control. So I'm trying to take my time now on the approach to the International Hotel. Looking at my speed, looking at my altitude. So the altitude will vary. If all of a sudden I'm over the top of the hotel, that number will jump down to the altitude between the chopper and the top of the hotel. And you'll see in a moment. So I'm a little bit nervous. Don't want to crash. So I have another chopper trial for me to do if I successfully do this one. So let's try and move in. So I'm a little bit off to the left here, but I'm still going to try and bring down. I want to go over to the right a bit again, but altitude 2, speed 2, I'm pretty happy with that. Speed 1, altitude 0, and I'm down. So that was a very smooth landing. Maybe a little bit more to the left than I would have liked, but still, it worked out. So if I lean forward, like, you know, at my desk I lean forward, it carries out the kind of zoom effect that you would normally get if you were holding your right mouse button. So that there, that little grey block behind the blue sign, is where I'm going to attempt to land next. Now, this is not going to be easy. Maybe there are people out there that have done this a lot more than me and think, or are able to perform such a landing with ease, but not me. Definitely it's going to be a challenge, but you know, it's all good fun. So I'm going to take off again now. Again, you know, you can look straight up. So some of you might be wondering, if I turn my head so far left that my character is, you know, looking behind him, I won't be able to see my monitor. Not so. The way the software works is it sort of amplifies your movement slightly. So you're never looking too far left or too far right, to the degree that it becomes uncomfortable to continue looking at the screen. It's also something that is configurable, so you know, you can adjust it to personal preference, but I find the defaults perfectly fine. So here I am approaching. In ArmA there is an option to use something called auto hover, which essentially tries to hold your aircraft straight as you ascend or descend and kind of locks out any controls which would make you go backwards, forwards, left or right in any particular extreme. I hate auto hover. I don't tend to use it. It takes away so much control, and I think it is often more dangerous than having the manual control, because you can't, it's almost like if you manage to make an error, you are powerless to correct it as long as auto hover is on. So auto hover is off right now. So I'm not far away from it, but I'm just trying to think altitude, speed. I don't want to just like slip off the edge. So I'm trying to approach it very carefully. Is now the right time? Maybe. I think, am I in the right position? No. So I'm looking there with the TrackIR, just turning my head, checking where it is. So I think, no, hang on a minute, I need to approach this again. So I back off and I try again. Okay, so the altitude says 13, and that's relevant to the distance from the top of the other part of the building I'm over at the moment. And now it's hopped up to 53 as I'm over the actual real ground, and it'll hop down again as I get air. So speed 4, maybe a little high for what I want to do here. Altitude 6. Well, if I'm going to try it, I'll try it now. And I kind of plonk it down. And, I don't think I've done this quite right. Yeah, I'm kind of on there a bit sideways. Not the worst landing in the world. I haven't damaged the aircraft, which is good. Do I try again? So I've just switched on auto hover just to try and demo it a bit. So now I'm lifting off the ground, and you can see the aircraft has just sort of leveled out. This is an external view. Again, if I turn my head when I am in third person mode, it still carries out the movement. So I'm in auto hover at the moment, and as you can see, I'm not particularly moving left or right to any extreme. But yeah, I don't feel like I've got the control I need to do this properly. So I'm like, am I over it? I'm just trying to guess. No, it's over there. So again, all head movement in this video has been achieved through me using the TrackIR. And you know, they haven't paid me anything to say this. It's just a case of I dug out the peripheral thinking, I used to love using this thing. I wonder what it's going to be like in ArmA. Sorry, DayZ. And no, I've really enjoyed using it in DayZ too. You guys haven't seen any videos yet where I've actually been using it. So yeah, I get a bit ballsy here. Okay, I'm gonna try again. I somehow managed to damage my engine at some point. So one last quick stab at this. Can I get it landed properly? Come on. No. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope it it demoed something that you guys might find interesting. See you next time.